Welcome to Faith and Work. I'm your host, Carole Evans, and I'm so glad that you're here. Throughout the month of July, we are in our special summer series, Faith in Our Community, where we're stepping into the stories of people whose everyday lives may look different than our own. The goal isn't to compare experiences, it's to grow in our compassion, understanding, and in the love of Christ. Each episode highlights a different community or different life circumstance, so that as the body of Christ, we can better understand how to encourage, support, and pray for one another. For some listeners, today's topic might be simply providing a new perspective. For others, it might be deeply personal. This week's conversation focuses on families impacted by divorce. Whether you're walking this road yourself, or love someone who has, or simply want to better minister to those around you, I believe this conversation will help you see the heart behind the journey. My guest, Katie Ann, shares honestly about the challenges of becoming a single mom, the heartbreak of praying for her marriage, the importance of counseling, but most importantly, her quest to understand who God was. If you're walking through a season like this, my prayer is that today's conversation reminds you that you are not alone and that God is still present in your story. And if someone you know is carrying the burden of divorce right now, I hope you leave with a greater understanding of how to better pray for them, encourage them, and just simply be present. Let's jump into today's conversation. Welcome to the Faith and Work podcast. My name is Carole Evans, and I'm here with Katie Ann. Katie, thank you so much for coming on the Faith and Work podcast. This is episode 2 in our Faith in Our Community series. And I'm so happy to have you here. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me and for letting me be part of this series. I'm truly honored, and nothing makes me happier than being able to share and just pray that whatever I have is exactly what somebody else needs to hear.
Yeah.
So, my story, well, I guess, which part of my story would you like to know?
Oh man, let's start with a little bit of what you're doing right now, and then we'll kind of press rewind and we'll go backwards. Let's start with what you're doing right now.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. So right now I am a certified life coach, and I work specifically with divorced Christian women, rebuilding their lives post-divorce, and just trying to help them not just pick up the pieces, but to truly create something intentional and breaking a pattern of brokenness. So I grew up a child of divorce. I was raised by a single mom, and my parents had a very contentious relationship. And I never wanted to give that to my children.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because I grew up in this dynamic and this understanding of what a relationship was and what marriage was and what love was or wasn't, I didn't realize that I didn't even know well, I guess I did know I didn't have a good example, and I didn't know how to emulate something, but I thought that I would just figure it out, and I didn't. I didn't figure it out on my own. I just made a mess. I just realized that I had made a mess. Actually, that was really a difficult lesson to learn, of course, but God works all things for our good is what I've learned. And so unfortunately, after 17 years of marriage and 5 amazing children, I went through a divorce of my own. And that was really like a rock bottom of how could I be here in this place I always said I never wanted to be? And how could I be giving my kids exactly what I said I never wanted to give them? And how did I not avoid this? And, again, God is just so good. And he just showed me and taught me this beautiful understanding. I grew up in the Mormon religion. And so I had a very different understanding and perspective of what the Bible teaches. I thought I had the right one, but the divorce was really the catalyst to my eyes being opened, and I was seeking God in truly a completely different way. And I'm not that I hadn't been seeking him, but I didn't realize what I was missing. And as I was reading and been invited to read the Bible, I came to a passage, and I was like, for the very first time in my life, I thought, I think I might be wrong about everything I thought I knew. So I went through separation, mediation. I moved out of our family home and started a home of my own with my 5 children, went to 50-50 custody with my 5 children, which meant we did a week on, week off schedule. So I started
Mhm.
spending entire weeks all alone for the first time in pretty much my whole entire life because I was one
Wow.
of 7. I
Yeah.
was the middle child of 7. So I
Oh,
truly never
wow.
have been alone. Right. And a faith journey. I
Yeah.
left my entire community behind, my religion behind over the course of 66 days.
Wow.
So it was a
Wow.
lot. Yeah. But through that journey, through that, God just said, now that I have your attention. And I realized
Yeah.
all I needed was to slow down so I could hear him and really receive all the answers to all the prayers that I had been praying for my whole
Mhm.
life. And he showed me this beautiful understanding of who he is
Yeah.
and then who I am in return. And so
Yeah.
what I do is I walk women through who God says you are
Yeah.
and what your identity truly is as his. What does it mean to know him and
Yeah.
for him to know you? And how
Mm.
do you rebuild that relationship? So I walk women through truly a rebuilding of an identity and what I call taking off the layers of lies that
Yeah.
we end up pulling on just to survive what we know is a holy thing,
Yeah.
but what maybe we don't really perceive fully is the thing we know is holy has become unholy
Mm.
and it no longer is honoring the Lord. And maybe it never did for many,
Yeah.
many of us. And the reality of that is very painful to
Mhm.
face, not just because of the reality of like, I think I got this wrong,
Yeah.
but the reality of I've been trying to follow God all this time and realized I never have been. And it really
Wow.
shakes every part of your foundation
Yeah.
and everything that you know. And
Wow.
so it really is truly a rebuilding. So what I walk women through is picking up the pieces and
Yeah.
building a foundation and again, taking off the layers of what we have done on our own, trying to salvage and make
Yes.
something holy that maybe never was. It's a really hard
Wow.
reality. So
Man, Katie, that is deep. I have so many questions and so much I want to ask you after all of that. First question I have for you: when you said you were reading the scripture
yeah.
and you realized you might be
Mhm.
wrong, what did
Mhm.
you read that made you think that?
Yeah, it was Matthew 22 when the
Mm.
Pharisees are asking Jesus about the woman who marries 7 brothers. And
Yeah.
they say, in the heavens, whose wife is she? Who will she be married
Yeah.
to? And he says, you fools, don't you know that in the heavens you're neither given or received in marriage? I love he
Yeah.
says that, you fools. I just
Yeah.
love that. But he says you're as the angels in the
Mm.
heavens. And, in Mormonism, you are taught families are eternal and so are marriages, and that you
Mm.
do have an eternal family in heaven, and that you
Okay.
specifically have a husband or a wife. Your family, your union is sealed, what they call for time and all eternity. There is no till death do us part. It is,
Oh,
you are
wow.
mine and I am yours, and we belong to each other forever. And that is what the whole, foundation of families is. And that
Wow.
was what I grew up believing and
Mm.
holding on to. Right. And so it's not just a marriage vow you are making, you
Yeah.
are truly making a covenant before God for eternity.
Hmm.
It's not about right now, it's
Yeah.
about forever. You and me
Wow.
forever. Right?
Wow. That
Yeah.
feels like it
Yeah.
really idolizes the marriage over our relationship with God. Is that a true statement?
Yeah. I would say everything in
Wow.
Mormonism idolizes religion, what's
Mm.
happening here
Yeah.
over your relationship with God.
Mm. Wow. So let's talk a
Hmm.
little bit about the decision to start over, um,
Hmm.
leaving your community. And I know for so many women in that situation, women and men that are in that situation,
Hmm.
that is such a hard thing to come to because it's almost easier to stay. Even when it's
Hmm.
bad, it's easier to stay because it's like the devil you know and the devil you don't know. And so sometimes they just stay because they've already grown accustomed to whatever it is that they're dealing with. Um,
Hmm.
so what did you go through and what was kind of your thought process when deciding, regardless of the shame or embarrassment or regardless of what people say, I'm going to move forward? What was your thought process around that?
Yeah. So I'm so glad you said that because that's exactly what kept me in my marriage. the
Yeah.
entire time and I knew pretty much immediately that
Mm.
I missed something very important on this
Yeah.
selection process. So
Mhm.
I got married in almost 66 days, ironically. So
Wow.
we met on April 15th and we got married on June 17th,
Oh
same
my
year.
goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, um, I was reading for our reception. I got one of those signature frames
Yeah.
where people sign the frame. So that was
Mhm.
like instead of a signature book or a sign in
Yeah.
book, I got a frame where I could put our wedding picture in the middle and then all the signatures and encouragement and stuff was around the frame.
Mhm.
And I was reading through that, after, opening gifts and whatnot. And my aunt had written, keep talking, talking, talking.
Mm.
And I was like, I don't know how to talk to this man, and I don't think he knows how to talk to me.
Mm.
And that was the first, I think I missed something really important in this selection
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
But I'm like, we just went through the temple.
You're right.
We committed and we made our vows. We are bound for eternity already.
Wow.
Here I am. And
Yeah.
I know that in my core, he's not a bad man.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm pretty sure I can trust him. And
Yeah.
so I knew I wasn't in any kind of danger.
Right.
And I thought, good enough. You can make anything
Mhm.
work. We have the same value system, we have the
Yeah.
same beliefs. And I had just been taught that's all you need.
Yeah.
So that's all I need. And I can just make this
Mhm.
work. Well, it didn't take very long to start seeing how I wasn't safe and
Mm.
how I wasn't held and how I wasn't protected. And not to try to highlight what he was falling short
Right.
on, but
Right.
also to highlight what I had no idea of. I
Mm.
didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to be a wife. I didn't
Mm.
know how to be a loving spouse. I just knew this was what I always wanted.
Yeah.
And in my world, I was 23. In Mormonism, you
Wow.
might as well be an old maid by that point in
Wow.
life, right? So
Wow.
I was like, I'm here, and he's 8 years older than me. So he was
Okay.
even older. And
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, we're just gonna have to stick with it.
Yeah.
And I will say that's what we did. We just made lemonade out of
Yeah.
lemons, right? And not
Yes.
that again, I was ever in danger.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was, but we built this foundation of very unsure. Like we went to a marriage class originally and I had this desire and he did as well to
Mhm.
build something really strong again,
Mhm.
but without that biblical foundation and without that
Right.
biblical understanding of what does this mean.
Yeah.
Neither of us had never been taught that ever.
Wow.
So we didn't have that ability. It was like we had a foundation on sand.
Wow.
And it was immediately apparent that it was
Yes.
on sand,
Yeah.
right? And so as we started having children, the strains and stresses of life arrived. Our second daughter is profoundly deaf. And
Mm.
so that brought out its own challenges. We
Yeah.
lived 18 hours from any family and he traveled
Wow.
Monday through Friday.
Oh my
So I
goodness.
was, yes, basically a single mom, not that he was ever trying to
Right.
leave me
Yeah.
without again, but I didn't have tools. He didn't have tools. And what I came to realize was like, we don't even really have anything in common. We didn't have any shared goals. We don't have any shared purposes. So
Mhm.
while we have the same religious beliefs, that was pretty much all we had in common
Wow.
was this religious belief, right? And it was like
Mhm.
a struggle. But again,
Yeah.
it was I had made this decision, I had committed to this, and I was committed I would never put my children through this.
Yeah.
And again, I I now after a certain period of time, I know this.
Yeah.
I know what to expect. I know how to respond. I know what not to expect. I know where not to get my hopes up. I know what I know and I know what I don't know.
Right.
And that became just the rhythm of our relationship. And my mom is a
Wow.
family and marriage therapist, and she, listened to me my whole marriage. And
Yes.
just eventually, as time gone on, I was like, all I ever wanted was to be a mom. All I ever
Yeah.
wanted was to have this beautiful calling, and I had it, and what looked like everything that you could possibly want in a life. And inside are the walls of our home, we were miserable. He was
Mm.
miserable. I was miserable. Our children, I know, were miserable.
Yeah.
And I knew I was failing all of them every
Yes.
single day. And the weight of that was unbearable. And the weight of it just compounded. And
Wow.
I started getting diagnosed with some severe illnesses. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and I have a daughter who's deaf, and her main mode of communication is sign language. And I
Right.
woke up one day and I just couldn't move my fingers.
Oh
And by
my
the end of the day, I
goodness.
couldn't move anything. I was completely the Tin Man. And so came this onset of symptoms and illnesses and just all stress related responses.
Yes.
And, I eventually had, by the time I had my fifth one, I had,
Mhm.
I think, my fifth or sixth autoimmune disease diagnosis. And my doctor says, you've got to reduce some stress in your life. And I was like, where do I
Yeah.
do that? I don't know how to do that. I don't know what I'm supposed to give up. I feel like I'm giving as much away as I possibly can and doing,
Yeah.
in my world, very performance-based religion, very
Yeah.
performance-based. I just need to keep giving. I just need to keep
Right.
pouring. And unfortunately, when you don't have the word of God and you don't have his truth, you don't have anything pouring into you. And I
Oh,
thought I
that's so
did.
good.
I went to the
Yeah.
temple. I went to the temple every week. I went as often as I could. I went and did every religious thing I'd ever been taught. And I thought I knew God. And I would pour my heart out and be like, I'm missing. Like, I'm failing. I'm failing. And
Mm.
everyone around me is failing. And I don't know how to fix this. And I know it's my responsibility and I don't know what to do. And I eventually started going to therapy, and I
Yeah.
eventually started getting a life coach and reading personal development and doing marriage classes. And,
Yeah.
my poor husband is doing what he knows, which
Yeah.
was just keep going,
Right.
just keep
Yeah.
going. And
Survival
just
mode. Yeah.
right, we're both just in survival, and
Yeah.
it had gotten to the point where we had been now 6 months without speaking directly to each other in our home
Wow.
with 5 children, and, I just said, "We have to go to
Yeah.
see somebody." I'd been going, and I'm recognizing, wow, I've got some problems, and I will tell you
Yeah.
that brought up some trauma from my childhood I didn't even know I was holding, and that was almost more traumatic. I
Yes.
remember having intense nightmares of things that had
Mm.
happened to me that I had experienced. And I woke up one night in the middle of the night just screaming and sobbing. And
Mm.
my poor husband didn't know what to do or even how to comfort me,
Yeah.
and bless him. He's not an I don't lose sleep kind of man.
Oh.
So he was like,
Yeah.
blessing me, did what he knew how to do. But I just felt so abandoned and I felt so
Mhm.
alone and I felt so just on my own.
Yeah.
And I finally got him to go to therapy with me, and he did what he knew how to do, which was
Mhm.
to deflect.
Yeah.
And he just said, "Please don't leave me." And I said,
Mm.
I just need help. I don't care what you do. You don't need to do anything around the house. I don't need you to like take things off my plate. I just need you to be you. Like, can you just figure out
Yeah.
who you're supposed to be and how to be you better? Like, could you
Yeah.
just, I don't care what it is. I really don't. I don't care what it is. Just do
Yeah.
anything to be your best self. What does that
Yes.
look like? Can you just work on you and I'll work on me? And then, hopefully God will fix
Yeah.
it. I don't know. And I stayed for another 3 years and did as much as I could. Again, I went through my life coaching certification and learned all these tools about I can control what I can control. And how can I
That's right.
control me? How can I be the best wife? How can I be the
Yeah.
best mom? And bless my sweet poor husband, the more I fixed and figured out things, it was like the more contentious he became, the more I
Mm.
think confrontational perhaps it
Yeah.
became, the more it shone a light on the disparity, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it got worse.
Yeah.
Honestly, like that's hard to believe.
Yeah.
But it
Right.
honestly got worse. It honestly got worse.
Mhm.
And we were eventually on a religious event that the Mormon
Mhm.
church does. And I lost my wedding ring. And I
Mm.
just was like, okay, Lord, like, are you telling me it's okay? Like, maybe I just
Mm.
need to truly release this fully.
Yeah.
Maybe I just need to allow myself to say, maybe it is better for us to divorce. Like, and I
Yeah.
just even saying that, I was like, my mom finally gave me permission. Just explore, just let yourself have permission to say that. And I was like, I just can't. I just
Mm.
can't do that to my kids. And
Yeah.
over a series of time and on other unfortunate events, like I I was finishing up my certification, and my mom had these people she was trying to help me finish my certification with, and introduced me to this man that she was working with in her home that she had kind of gotten to know. And he entered my world as a coaching client,
Mhm.
and ended up just grooming me. And I don't know actually how long he'd been working with my mom, finding out information about me. But I've kind of come to understand that that was the intent and purpose, was
Mm.
to kind of create a wedge there. And so I will not say
Yeah.
like um, he was the cause for my divorce, but I think it highlighted for me a crux of
Mhm.
like, I really can't continue this, not because I need something different or because I need
Yeah.
something better, but because I think it just highlighted for me the gravity of
Mhm.
where I was at. And so when I finally got up the courage, we lived 12 hours away from family. I don't have any family where I'm at. And I finally just got the courage to say, I just can't pretend anymore that we
Yeah.
have something we don't have.
Yeah.
And I can't pretend that this is actually best for
Yeah.
anybody anymore. And so that was the way he handled that, was pretty much all the confirmation I needed. It was very
Mm.
difficult.
Yeah.
And um, you know, my oldest daughter said, "Hey, dad just told me you'd asked for a divorce." And I said, I'm so sorry, but yes, that's
Yeah.
true. And she said, she was 16 at the time. And she
Mm.
said, "Well, I'm not surprised. You guys are terrible."
Oh, no. Wow, for
Yeah.
a 16-year-old to
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that again pretty much just confirmed to me that everything I had been holding in and holding on to
Yes.
was not at all what I thought I was holding on to.
Yeah.
I thought I was holding this together for
Yeah.
the benefit of my children. Like I'd been through this
Mhm.
experience. And what I realized is I just recreated the contention I grew up with two divorced parents in my
Mm.
home with an intact home. And I was not
Mm.
prepared for that.
Yeah.
So that was a really hard reality. That was a really
Yeah.
hard reality. So, but that was,
Wow.
the invitation was to read the Bible, and then God saved me. And I was like,
Mhm.
now I understand. Now I
Yes.
understand.
Yeah.
And it's been 4 years, and I won't say smooth road by any means, but, um, freeing. I will say
Yes.
so freeing to let go of the lie I was carrying, that
Mm.
I was holding something together and I was keeping something sacred and I was keeping my children safe and I was keeping this vow intact. When in
Yeah.
reality, the vow, I mean, regardless of the circumstance of it, I truly believed it, but it was never truly understood or valued
Yeah.
or honored by anyone.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it was very fragile.
Oh,
So
man.
it was rough.
So
Hmm.
you've been in the Mormon religion for a long time,
Yeah,
leaving
my whole
that.
life.
Yeah, your
Hmm.
whole life. So not if so even before you were
Hmm.
married.
Yep. Yeah, I
Um,
completely grew up. Uh-huh.
wow. So leaving that, and leaving a marriage at the same time, um, how did you combat that feeling of just isolation of leaving both your kind of religious foundation and your marriage? That had to be incredibly difficult. How did
Yeah.
how did you work through that?
Yeah, I think it was just beautiful timing, because even though this man entered my life under really bad circumstances, inviting me to read the Bible, and even
Mm.
though he had nefarious intentions the whole time, right? What the enemy meant for evil, the Lord intended for good,
Yeah.
because like my eyes were opened and I was just devouring the word. I was
Mm.
just like, I was literally sitting on my couch one day completely by myself, and I was just like, I is this really it? Like, I think I'm not that I missed something. I know I'm on the right track and I know I made the right choice, but now
Yeah.
what, basically?
Yeah.
And God just simply said, now that I have your attention. And he just poured and poured and poured and poured
Mm.
into me. And the more he poured into me, the more I desired, the hungrier I got, the
Yeah.
more I wanted. I just could not get enough of the word. I just
Mm.
wanted it. I was so hungry. In the Psalms, it says, my soul thirsts for you like a parched land.
Yeah.
And I came upon that and I was like, that's it. I feel like I have been spiritually starved my entire life, and
Yeah.
I'm finally getting spiritually fed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've been I can't get enough. Like, it
Wow.
was just so fulfilling, and everything that I had struggled with my whole life, all of these lies I'd carried, all of these things that I had been holding on to, all of this identity that I thought I knew about myself and about him and
Mm.
about what truth was and about, everything,
Yeah.
truly everything completely stripped away. And it
Yeah.
was just me and God. And it was
Mm.
just me and God. And I mean, I thought that I needed to give my kids an understanding of what a relationship was, what
Mm.
a marriage is supposed to look like, what it's supposed to mean to have a beautiful union that I know God wants and
Yeah.
intends for us. And I thought that meant in a human relationship.
Yeah.
And what God has showed me is that it starts with a relationship with Him.
Yes.
A godly relationship doesn't build
Yes.
on the rock without
Right.
the rock. And
Right.
so
Yes.
the rock, like he gave me, this rock foundation
Mm.
and he taught me what that is and how to build something on that. And now I realize God is going to give them every
Yeah.
earthly relationship, but I couldn't even give them God because I didn't have
Mm.
him.
Yeah.
And so now I can give them God because I
Yeah.
have him and I understand him. And I am an infinitely better mother
Oh,
than
yeah.
I ever even thought I was going to possibly be.
Yeah.
Right. And it's my children are completely changed. Our relationship is completely changed. And
Mm.
again, it's not easy. It's not
Yes.
without flaws and bumps and any of those things.
Yes.
It's definitely not perfect still. Their dad is still very Mormon. And so now
Mm.
it's not the middle of a conflict of a mom and dad. It has just highlighted the gap
Mhm.
between he and I.
Yes.
And now it's a spiritual war of
Yeah.
who is right and wrong, who has God and who doesn't, which is a
Mm.
completely different weight to carry for kids.
That is. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now I have more questions, but we're going to try to stay focused. We need to do part 1, 2, and 3 of just Katie Ann's story, but okay. Um, so when we're talking about your divorce and your relationship with God and growing through that and your kids and all of that, I feel like there's so many people, and all of us know somebody who's either going through a divorce actively, who has been through a divorce. And sometimes those friendships can slip back into,
Mhm.
um, it's almost like they slip into the back burner. And we
Mhm.
don't really know why. We don't do it on purpose, but they're in a different group, or maybe they were in our small group, but now they're not in our small group, or now we used to do things together and now we don't. And how would you, if people are listening and they're like, man, I know someone going through a divorce, but I don't know how to reach out to them. I don't know how to connect to them. What going through that yourself, what would you recommend for people who have someone divorced in their life? They're trying to reach them, but they don't know how. What's the best way to do that?
You know, I would approach it just like the Good Shepherd would. He
Mm,
came to each of us individually, right?
yeah.
And he says, if any of you hear my voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is going to need something different. And for me, in my journey, I needed to be isolated. I needed to have everything removed because I built my whole life and my whole identity around serving other people and
Wow.
giving to everyone else and being the response available,
Mm,
being on the ready. And I needed to be completely stripped of every distraction because I couldn't sit still. I didn't know how to sit still with God. That was the
mm,
most uncomfortable thing for me to do. And for some people, that's what they need. They
yeah.
need to truly be stripped,
Yeah.
and God prunes. It's a pruning season. And there's
Yes.
a reason why, because we can't rebuild again on something unsure,
Mm-hmm.
unstable. And we need him. But some people need that community. Some people have been in the
Yeah.
wilderness. Some
Yeah.
people really need extra care, extra
Yeah.
love. And at the foundation of it all is just a prayer, supplication to the
Yes.
Lord. How can I feed your sheep? How can I
Mm,
go? How can I serve them? And if God is putting on your heart, somebody reach out
yeah.
in just whatever way you feel prompted to, because God's going
Yeah.
to say what he says. Don't worry about what you're going to say or what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Just open your mouth and I will give you the words.
That's right.
And so really, if you're in a relationship with the Lord and you are with him, he will guide you to know exactly how to shepherd each
Mm-hmm.
person, because every person is going to need something completely different. But honestly, the greatest thing you can do is to pray for guidance and to
Yeah.
have a genuine, sincere desire to help,
Mm.
to serve
Yeah.
for their best interest, for his work
Yeah.
and for his flock. And when that's your heart posture, he's definitely going to show you exactly how to help them, because they do. And I will tell you, I talk to pastors and I'm like, what are you doing? What do you need help with? How do you shepherd
Yeah.
this group? How do you help them? And I will say they are just as lost. They're just
Mm.
as ambiguous, because nobody wants to be seen as encouraging divorce or promoting divorce.
Mm.
And I will say that's a really tough spot to be in for leaders. It's not because they don't care. I actually just recorded a podcast about this,
Yeah.
shepherding, because
Mm.
God is the good shepherd. He's never going to fail. He's
Yeah.
never, ever going to do it imperfectly. We are going to do it imperfectly. And we are
Yes.
imperfect people, regardless of what our intentions are, regardless of how well we want to do it. We're going to mess it up.
Yeah.
We're, we're, we're
Yeah.
going to get in God's way, and we're going to try to do it our way, and we're going
Yes.
to mess it up. And so
Mm-hmm.
I would just say, if you're in the divorce seat and you're wishing someone would reach out to you in a specific way, just ask. Just tell
Yeah.
them exactly what you need, not because you're demanding or
Yeah.
because they're insensitive, but because they don't know. They
Mm.
just don't know.
Yeah.
And they don't know how, and they don't know what to do. And so
Mm-hmm.
just be honest and just
Yeah.
tell them. And I will
Mm.
say, this is the one thing that I've learned recently, is that I can only give to the level I am willing to receive. And
Mm.
that means I have to ask. That means I
Yeah.
have to be willing to need help. I
Mm.
have to be willing to receive help, even if it's just from the Father, even
Oh,
if it's
that's
just
so
from my good
good.
shepherd. But at the minimum, I do have a shepherd who
Yeah.
I am part of his flock. And I
Mm.
have been I'm Italian, so I'm a bit spicy. I am not afraid. And I'm new to this like whole world. I'm like, what is happening over here? I remember talking to my pastor the first time about ministering to divorced women, and he was like, let me know about this delicate balance. And I was like, but you have a prison ministry. I don't understand.
I love that. But you have a prison ministry. Oh my
I
goodness.
just was
That
like,
is the
so
best analogy and the best like reality check ever. I love that so much.
So I'm just a little spicy. I just
Yeah.
sometimes don't know how to appropriately approach things. Like, and maybe that's
Yes.
a good blessing that I grew up in this like completely different community, because I got over to Christianity and I was like, what is this? Wait, what? Like, what do you mean you don't want to be seen as promoting divorce? Who's promoting divorce? Like, shepherding doesn't require encouragement. You don't think you're promoting criminals to go and
Right.
commit crimes by
Right.
shepherding them in prison once they've made the crime. Like, I don't understand. I don't.
I feel like your voice says the things that my face say. And then my husband will elbow me and he's like, Carole, you got to watch your face. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm just really struggling.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
My
I
face
love
does
it.
that. My face betrays me. And so it's like, I
Oh,
might as well just
it's
say what I'm
terrible.
saying because my face is
That's true.
saying it and they know.
Yeah.
And so I might as well just remove all ambiguity about what's actually going on.
Oh, I love it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned it earlier, but for those who are kind of they're thinking about it, they're praying about it. I don't know if you've ever heard of Angela Farr.
I don't
She
think so.
You need to look her up. You would love
Okay.
her content. She
Okay.
has a very similar story that you have, except I'm not sure what denomination they were, but her husband was in ministry. And
Okay.
so then she was going through a very difficult situation where her husband was in ministry, and then the church leaders had to kind of come to her and say, this is really not good. And the church leaders actually had to
Oh.
help separate and help with that.
Oh.
And so
Oh.
it was a very difficult, but also very public, like all divorce is. And anyway, she had a whole house full of kids and a really tough story, but a beautiful story. And she talks very similar to, I know people don't want to glorify this, but it happens. And here we are.
Yep.
And we can't just avoid the topic because we don't want to glorify it. And so for those who are on that brink of like, I don't know, but God doesn't glorify divorce and I'm not sure what I should do. And they're on that of, you know, should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I go through more counseling? Should I just read one more book? Should I go through one more coach? What counsel do
Yeah.
you give people who are kind of in that space right now?
Yeah, I will say there are also biblical grounds. They're
Yeah.
very, very clear. That is not ambiguous. That's the right way to say that. That the Bible gave those grounds for a reason
Mhm.
because God also hates the mistreatment of his children.
Yeah.
And when your vows have been broken,
Mhm.
those are grounds.
Yeah.
And even and as difficult as it is, this was what I learned. And I'm not going to say that I wish I would have done anything differently,
Mhm.
but I will say that everything I thought I was protecting, I was really just magnifying the problem by
Mm.
trying to hold it together myself.
Yeah.
So again, and nothing happens apart from prayer and
Yeah.
the guidance of the Spirit. So get yourself around really biblical people and understand that no one is ever going to be able to understand every aspect of what's actually happening
Yeah.
behind your closed doors. We just automatically filter information according to who we're talking to. We
Yeah.
understand who we go talk to for emotional support. We understand who we
Yes.
go talk to for, right? Like
Yeah.
cooking.
Right.
You've got to cook. You know
Yeah.
exactly who you're going to go to for a good recipe. You know
Yeah.
exactly who you're going to go to when like you've got some stain in your
Yeah.
carpet, right? Like
Right.
you've got people for specific things. And that is the same for every even wise biblical counsel that you have.
Yeah.
You can only give so much information. God is the only one truly who sees everything,
Yeah.
who knows the intention behind
Yeah.
everything. And yes, there is wisdom and an abundance of counselors, and you should have them and utilize them and lean on them very
Mhm.
heavily. Trust them. But if they are guiding you to stay somewhere where you legitimately have biblical grounds,
Mhm.
Does not want you to stay somewhere you are not safe in any aspect.
Yeah.
And yes, he can redeem all things.
Yes.
Yes, he can redeem all things. But sometimes it has to be completely broken before he
Yeah.
can redeem it.
Yeah.
Some things
Yeah.
have to truly, people come at me with this passage, well, God brought together, let no man separate. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you can see my face?
Yeah. I
That's
can.
my Italian ASL face. I know you can see my face. This is good. This is good counsel. This is good biblical counsel. But sometimes, sometimes
Yeah.
we make vows rashly. In
Yeah.
Proverbs 27, it says, rash is the man who exchanges vows and then only calls it holy. Rash is the man who calls
Mm.
it holy and then only after exchanging vows.
Mm.
There are some times where
Yeah.
we make decisions as humans because we
Yeah.
have free will and
Yeah.
we yoke ourselves with someone God did not intend us to be yoked to
Yeah.
or with. And
Mhm.
then you have broken relationships.
Yeah.
And then you have two broken people bringing something together that God did not bring together.
Yeah.
And that also is true. So
Yeah.
if you also know that's true, and if you have true biblical grounds, you have biblical grounds for a reason. They're there for a
Yeah.
reason. And you can
Right.
trust God in Him. Again, we don't want to be like rashly saying, you can just give up
Right.
when it's hard. There's a
Right.
lot of hard going on, right?
Yeah.
We're
Sure.
talking about genuine biblical grounds when there's genuine,
Yes.
like, and I will say, I don't really know if I can say, like, looking back, if I
Mhm.
ever had, like, biblical grounds.
Mm.
But knowing I brought something together, I was listening to a talk by Derek Prince about what happens when we do not wait on the Lord.
Mm.
And he gives the story of Abraham and Sarai.
Mm.
I mean, they had to wait for like 15 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then when, Abraham's got this promise that he's going to have a posterity greater than the stars in the sky,
Right.
and so Sarah is barren. And
Yeah.
they're like, excuse me.
Right.
Right?
Right. What happened to the
Right?
promise?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And God says, is anything too hard for the Lord?
Yeah.
After they decided, I don't want to wait anymore. And this is really
Mm.
hard. And maybe I'm supposed to be doing more.
Mm.
Maybe I'm missing some instruction. Maybe I misunderstood what I'm supposed to do. So she
Yeah.
says, marry my servant,
Yeah.
Hagar. And then they have an Ishmael.
Yeah.
And this is what Derek Prince says is Ishmael. Now, I mean, Hagar's a completely innocent bystander,
Yes.
right? But now she's suffering.
Yeah.
She's cast out. And now they have an Ishmael. And the angel of the Lord tells Hagar, I see you in your suffering, and you shall also be promised. But your son is going to be a wild donkey of a man.
Yeah.
That's not a good promise,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
not a good heritage. And he says he will be at war, and everyone will be at war with him. And Derek
Mm.
Prince says he is the seed of the land of Canaan. The
Mm.
Canaanites came
Yeah.
from Ishmael, and now they have an Ishmael.
Yeah.
And that is what we do to ourselves. And sometimes in our marriages, we
Yeah.
create our own Ishmael by running into something too soon without understanding what it really means to be yoked to somebody, what it really means to have a biblical union. And in our innocence and naivety, we do this, but it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it was so ordained of God. Like in
Yeah.
my sense, I truly didn't know, but I did know I was running into something rashly and I was rushing. I was tired. I was 23. I was an old maid.
Yeah.
My grandpa was very clear about it. Katie, you got to set your bar high, but not too high. Nobody can reach it at 23 years old. Okay.
23. Wow.
Like my womb isn't going to be barren.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
That's right.
So I'm just saying, like, so this is the work that I do. This is why I'm so passionate about it, because
Yes.
this is why I teach women. You cannot build something biblical if you do not know what it means.
Yeah.
If you have wounds that you are trying to have another human heal for you, you are building something ungodly. If
Mm.
you are trying to get and build something that, I was actually just reading about Hannah. And right, her husband Elkanah loves her so much.
Yes.
But even Elkanah, in his prayer in 1 Samuel 1, it's verses like 7 and 8, he says to her, she's weeping and she's brokenhearted and she's devastated. And he says, why are
Yeah.
you weeping? Why aren't you eating? Am I not enough?
Yes.
Even Elkanah is like, I can
Yes.
fill all these things for you.
Yeah.
And we cannot. We
Yeah.
cannot fill for each other
Yeah.
the one thing that we are created to have, which is a relationship with God
Mhm.
first,
Yeah.
foremost, always.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, you're not going to ever have anything godly on your own.
Mm.
God can do anything if that's really his will, but just because you're there doesn't mean it's his will.
Oh,
So,
that's so good. Thank you so much, Katie.
yeah,
Um, I love the story of Elkanah and Hannah,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
because there's so many things about it that we can that are so relatable.
yeah,
When it says that he gives her a double portion, it makes me
yes.
always think about um, the Five Love Languages book, and it's like, well, someone had
Yes.
gifts. Someone wanted to give gifts and make it like it was all okay, and she was like, your
Right,
gifts are not enough.
right. It's
We
not
can't
it.
just give enough gifts and it be enough.
Right.
I would love to
Mhm.
have you close this out in a word of prayer. But before we do, if anyone listening would like to connect with you, can you share a little bit about where they can find out more about you? I know you have a podcast, you have some other ways that they can reach out to you. So I'd love for you to kind of share that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Before I say that, I just want to say one more thing that I think is
Sure.
important to understand is that, we don't want to encourage divorce and there are biblical grounds, but I will say it's not always easier. We have
That's
this
right.
facade that
Yeah.
like it's different, it's something different. Different isn't
Mm,
always easier.
yeah.
And the effects of it, the effort and the time and the energy and
Mm,
the trauma for everyone involved is intense and it's
yes.
real and your kids are going to hurt and your kids will suffer the most.
Yes.
And that
Hmm.
is why I held on so long because I was the kid and I knew
Yeah.
exactly what it cost to be in that
Mm.
position. And so I will just say, it's
Yeah.
not a decision you make lightly. It's not a
Yeah.
decision that, and I don't think any woman ever does, really,
Right.
honestly.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it does require two people, both of you. And God can work anything. God can
Yes.
work anything. And, bring your heart to the Lord and let Him show you.
Yeah.
And just get out of the way and let Him work
Yeah.
in your life and in your ex's life. And then unfortunately, in I understand that now, and I think that's what had to happen in my family,
Yeah.
and I do think it was really truly His will and, the
Yeah.
catalyst to all things, and I still think He could also redeem it. He could also do a
Yeah.
mighty work. Nothing is too hard for
Sure.
Him, but I always, at the end of the day, pray whatever's best for my children. And I even pray for him to be saved. And I pray
Yes.
for, true redemption in all
Yes.
things. And I have 100% confidence in his full redemption and plan,
Mm.
whatever that looks like. And I
Mm.
know that's true for every single one of his children. So
Yeah.
wherever you are, whatever part of your journey you're at, there is true redemption and healing, and he will guide you, and you can trust him. But
Mm.
just make sure you're trusting in him, the spirit, and
Yeah.
not just any spirit. Paul says
Mm.
the discerning of spirits,
That's right.
discern the spirit.
Yeah.
It's very, very cautious. Tread so lightly around that. Now,
Yeah.
of course, if you're not safe, be safe,
That's
get
right.
safe for
That's right.
sure, and get the help that you need. Be safe.
Yeah.
But there's lots of levels of safety, and it is okay. God wants you to be safe,
Yes.
however that looks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, people can find me. My podcast is called Beyond Believing. I am on
Mm.
all podcast platforms. I'm actually doing a series right now titled The Greatest Love Story Ever Written. And it's about the
Mm.
love story of God to you through the Bible. The Bible is the love story to you
Yeah.
from the Lord. So we're highlighting that right now. Episode 100 drops in just a few weeks,
What?
which is a
That's
huge
so
milestone.
exciting.
It's a huge milestone for us. It's a huge milestone. And so we're doing something special there. You can find me on YouTube and TikTok and LinkedIn at Coach Katie Ann. That's Ann with an E. And on Facebook, I'm just Beyond Believing. You can find me
Okay.
there. I started a brand new community. So the podcast comes to life. We're doing weekly events, and it's just truly a safe space for every divorced woman, any part of your journey, wherever you're
Yeah.
at. It's a truly safe space for you to come and be and just be held and loved and reminded about the one who holds
Yeah.
you the most. And so it's called the Selah Community. It's through Storehouse Wellness. I can give you all the links so you can find
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
easily. I'd love to have you over there.
For
So,
sure. Well, we will definitely put all of those links in the show notes so you guys can find Katie Ann and connect with her on all the platforms and check out that podcast series. Sounds amazing. That sounds so beautiful. I cannot wait to listen to that. That's awesome. Well,
thank you.
thank you so much, Katie. I'd love for you to close us out in a word of prayer.
Yes, I'd be honored too. Father, I just praise you and honor you for your mighty works. Holy, holy, holy is your name. You are the Lord God Almighty. Lord, I just am in awe and wonder of who you are and how well you let us know you, the intimacy with which we are invited into with you leaves me just truly speechless, Lord, and so humbled. I pray, Lord, for these beautiful women. Thank you for Carole, for her amazing desire and all of her efforts to share your love and your light and your words of encouragement with those who are lost and love, struggling and hurting, and for her desire to bind up the brokenhearted and to bring them closer to you. Lord, I ask for your favor to be upon her and for your hand to be upon her work, that it might be able to reach all those to whom you would have it reach. And Lord, for all those listening who need your love and protection and guidance, I just pray for your spirit to pour out in an abundance upon them, that truly your peace, which is beyond all understanding, it says, which will guard our minds and our hearts. Lord, I pray for your guidance, for your guardianship, for your protection over our hearts and our minds, that the enemy cannot deceive us, that his lies that would separate us from you, that would tell us that we need to run and hide and cover ourselves from you, that they will be cast out, Lord, and that they will be reminded of your peace, your protection, that will be run to you, Lord, to your open arms, to your protection and safety, to your covering. and to your wings, Lord. I pray that we would all hide in the shadow of your wings as we need to, that we would hear your word seek into our hearts and our minds, and that we will be able to know how to follow you, how to seek you, and how to abide in your abundant love that you have for us. And Lord, for all those listening that have a desire to seek out the hurting and to comfort them and to weep and to mourn with them, I pray that your guiding hand be upon them, and that they will receive your love and your strength, and their time and their capacity will be increased in measure, that they will be able to pour out to the individuals to whom is on their heart in the way that you would have them to, in a way that allows them to pour out your abundant love upon those listening and upon those who need you, Lord. And just I pray for your intercession, Lord, on behalf of all of us as fallen, sinful, broken humans, so incapable and so imperfect. Lord, I just pray for your perfection and your righteousness and your glory to abound and to make all things whole in you. That truly we can be redeemed, and you truly bring beauty for ashes, an oil of gladness for mourning, and the power of praise for those who are in despair. In your mighty name I pray, Lord. Amen.
Amen. What an honest, hope-filled conversation. Katie, thank you so much for sharing your story. It was such an encouragement. Your willingness to invite us into one of life's hardest seasons remind us that God is faithful. Even when the road is painful and uncertain, He is still so faithful. If today's conversation resonated with you, or if someone came to mind while you were listening, I would encourage you to take a moment and just stop and pray for them. Sometimes the greatest gift we can offer someone isn't having all the answers. It's just simply showing up, listening well, and reminding them that they aren't alone. If you connected with Katie's story today and would like to connect with her, I would encourage you to reach out to her. All of her contact information and her podcast are linked in our show notes today, so don't forget to check those out. If this episode encouraged you, I would love for you to share it with a friend, maybe your small group, someone that you know needs to have this type of encouragement in their life today. You never know how God might use one conversation to bring hope to someone's life. Thank you for joining me and the Faith in Our Community Summer Series. Next week, we have a really special guest that's going to talk about her journey walking through the path of becoming a young widow. That conversation is very special, so tender, you don't want to miss it. But until next time, don't forget Colossians 3:17. And whatever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through Him. This is Faith and Work. I'm Carole Evans, reminding you that your faith isn't just for Sunday. It's meant to shape how you live, how you serve, and how you love every day. I'll see you next week.